Part 71. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 704. In the smelly wing. The little boy desperately grabbed the bloody hemp rope around his neck and struggled wildly, trying to escape the supernatural suppression of the ghost rope. But it took me a long time to try. Except for the ghost rope tightening more and more, and the obvious black and blue marks of a punch on his neck, it had no effect. Hero, I am innocent. The little boy rolled his eyes, his voice seemed to be squeezed out from between his teeth, and his grimace was full of pain. As an abyss-level ghost king, he was actually suppressed by a hemp rope. Really? How could a being who could become a ghost or god be caught so easily? I'm afraid what he did was self-righteous. In Shen Jian's eyes, it was not only full of flaws, but also seemed extremely ridiculous. At this time, Shen Jian looked down with interest. The little boy's eyes almost rolled over. White pupils take up the entire eye. No matter where it is placed, this scene can be called infiltrative. Who do you belong to? Shen Jian asked. According to the prophetic text on the parchment, he knew that there were two just orders in Qingguo today, one from the people and one from unknown forces. And what he found now was someone from an organization pretending to be a righteous order. I am a royal spy. The little boy's psychological defense has collapsed. Under the threat of chronic death, he hesitated for a few seconds and then revealed his identity. Tell me more specifically. Shen Jian's eyes flashed. I am a chess piece deployed by the royal family a long time ago. I am responsible for collecting all intelligence in this area and uploading it once every 3 days. 2 months ago, I received a new mission, which is to cooperate with my superiors and make a mess. Justice order, hunt down the members of this organization, and find out the governor who is wanted for dismissal. So, I came up with this idea, using the Ghost Inn as a starting point, to spread the word that there is a justice and order assessment point here, in order to force those people out, but I don't know if they were discovered. During this period since then, although people have come in occasionally, none of them are members of the righteous order. But I have no other choice but to selectively capture the residents here and frame the blame on the just order. In a flash, the little boy told everything. Hear the words. Shen Jian was thoughtful and said, Who do you think will issue this order? The little boy fell silent. But seeing the rope of the ghost rope getting tighter and tighter, until he couldn't breathe, he roared, I said, the royal spies are only qualified to be used today. Otherwise, if others want to, its activation requires His Majesty's approval. After getting a satisfactory answer, Shen Jian nodded slightly. It seems. Princess Milan still didn't understand something about her father, the current Emperor Cheng. According to the eldest princess, this just order itself was a mysterious team formed by people with ulterior motives to discredit him, but the prediction of the parchment broke this speculation. There are actually two orders of justice. The former is a non-governmental organization. The latter is what the eldest princess speculated. In other words, Emperor Qing really believed that even if the Qing kingdom was upset and the situation became more complicated, he must be found as the dismissed night travel god's envoy. Even if the Qing kingdom is in turmoil and the people are panicked, they don't care at all. It gives people a sense of déjà vu that even if the Qing kingdom is destroyed, he can accept it. This is especially obvious when it comes to the treatment of Prince Li. When a prince collaborates with the enemy and treason, leading to the murder of hundreds of thousands of people in a major city, the king of a country's first thought is not to reduce the impact, nor to execute Prince Li to appease the people, but to make a statement and choose to die. No matter where it is placed, this approach is incredible. It is completely exacerbating the destruction of the Qing kingdom. Even now, in order to find himself, the emperor of the Qing kingdom did not care about the thoughts of the local people at all. Although he was a world-destroying ghost and god and the most terrifying existence in the Qing kingdom, In Shen Jian's opinion, he was still a little crazy. The emperor of a country is accelerating the destruction of his country? This idea emerged in Shen Jian's mind. But it was quickly suppressed. Groundless speculation will only make the truth of the matter more elusive. He doesn't need to think so much. No matter what Emperor Qing is thinking, as long as he doesn't hand over the imperial seal, then you are not on the same page with him. If you are not a stranger, you can only become a stranger or a dead person. With this thought, Shen Jian's eyes were dark. Take me to your superior. Little boy. He wanted to say that he didn't want to go. After all, what he did was considered betrayal and he was going to be executed. But looking at Shen Jian's eyes, the words "I won't go" were stuck in his throat, and he could never say them out. See this? Shen Jian patted his shoulder. He whispered softly, "You are always going to die anyway, so why don't you bring a few more to die together? If you die here alone, it will be too lonely. Don't you want others to join me in this blind date, a big loving family?" Little boy. He looked at Shen Jian dully. Damn it! You are really a little genius. Kill me. Are you afraid that I will be lonely, so you want to send other colleagues down to stay with me? What a simple and clear logic. But have you ever thought that as long as you don't kill me, I won't be alone? If you follow your killing method, with only 5 people, you can follow the clues and kill the entire Qing kingdom. Devil. The little boy drooled and swallowed. This man in prison uniform is definitely a devil. He was using the simplest words to successfully amplify the darkness in his heart. I'm going to die in the end anyway, why can't I drag others with me? As soon as this idea came up, he could no longer suppress it, and madness took over his heart. It made his entire grimace distort. He, logically speaking, as a spy, I shouldn't know the true identity and location of my superiors, but once, I was so curious that I split a third hand and possessed other people. In terms of people, through this method, I successfully located the location of my superiors. He is located in a theater where ghosts come and go. He has lived there all year round. He has integrated himself into his current identity. The supernatural powers he possesses also have an assimilation effect. Moreover, he is the head of all spies and is also a ghost-level statue. The presence. The little boy's expression became more ferocious. Tell the information you know to the maximum extent possible. In terms of terror level, he may not be the strongest. But in terms of concealment, even ghosts and gods cannot detect his existence. Otherwise, how could he have the confidence to sneak attack Shen Jian in the first place? Hear this. Shen Jian also showed a satisfied smile on his face. Turn around and leave. At the moment, it was enough for him to know that these members of the righteous order were royal spies activated by Emperor Qing. No matter how much more, he didn't expect the spy leader to know. But catching the other party and destroying the counterfeit will allow him to make a contribution, successfully escape from death row, and become a spy under the night god. Only after completing this step could he truly begin to participate in the battle for the title of the 9 sons. Let's go, lead the way. Shen Jian said. The little boy was stunned. His expression became even crazier. The overwhelming resentment surged out. Its scale is no less than that of a real evil ghost. He didn't hesitate. Lead the way. Not long after. Under night. A ghost theater came into Shen Jian's eyes. It is already 10 o'clock in the evening and the theater has not opened yet. There aren't many ghosts on the road. The little boy walked into the theater with a sinister smile. He lives in the Daizihao box. This position is neither as conspicuous as the Tianzihao, nor is it as underestimated as the herringbone. It is a ranking that is most suitable for dormancy. Another piece of news. I once possessed someone else and sneaked into the room to see if my superior had any dirty secrets. But I failed. The moment I opened the door, the person I possessed died. Now, through the perspective of ghost hands, I saw a second person in the box. That person set a supernatural trap. Once he pushed the door open, the supernatural curse would be activated. Say it. The figure of the little boy had stopped at a box. Then he turned his attention to Shenjian. Now, all he wants in his heart is to see his superiors and other spies die with him. If nothing happens, both of them will suffer losses. In this way, he can reap the benefits and take the opportunity to kill the two of them, escape from the Qing kingdom, and escape. Other than that, everything else would be death to him. And he wanted to know too. What should Shenjian do if he can't open the door? Should he wait for his superior to come out, or take other measures? Can't you open the door? Shenjian muttered something. A black steel rod was taken out from the body. Smashed hard against the wall. Boom! With a huge roar, a large hole was directly smashed into the wall, and wall bricks continued to fall. Little boy. Gan. Is your method that simple and crude? You did not knock on the door, and you just hit the wall directly. If it could be done, I would have warned you. This ghost theater is not a place bought by a royal spy, but a supernatural place for other ghosts and gods. His superior just lives here. And Shenjian's behavior is undoubtedly provoking the supernatural master here. In other words, what Shenjian will have to deal with later is probably two ghosts and gods and an entire ghost theater. Think of this. The little boy's originally crazy expression suddenly froze. Although he was ready to die, he still wanted to live in his heart. But now, he was completely dead. No matter which side wins, he will die. UTM. The little boy couldn't hold himself any longer. And the one who had the same idea as the little boy was the female ghost squatting at the door, leaning against the door, with a dead look on her face. She looked at the wall with a big hole on the side, feeling a little confused. Her duty was to prevent anyone from entering the box when the spy leader did not agree to open the door, so she set a supernatural curse that would kill anyone who opened the door. But she didn't expect that. Someone entered the room and instead of knocking and opening the door, he just smashed the wall. Damn it! You can't humming eat fried pancakes. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 706. Night falls. With a huge noise, all the ghosts in the ghost theater were startled. It was already 10 p.m. There are less than 2 hours left before the opening time of the opera. Many guests who have reserved boxes have arrived early, and a small number are VIP guests who have held box numbers here for a long time. They all heard this amazing news. One by one they opened the door and looked over in astonishment. Nest grass. Who the hell dares to cause trouble in the territory of a ghost and god? To know. The supernatural master of the ghost theater is a ghost who has been famous in Qingguo for a long time. Even the royal family has to be polite. He dares to cause trouble here and smashes the walls of other boxes. This is simply earth-shaking. I was afraid that the crown prince of Qing would come, so I didn't dare to do something so outrageous. Who is this? Could it be that he is also a ghost and god, here to seek revenge? A group of ghosts wait and watch. The atmosphere seemed a little silent for a moment. The other side. Shenjian, who had smashed the wall, had already walked in with the black steel rod in his hand. He glanced around. There was no one else in the box except a female ghost who looked like she had been run over by a car and looked like a horrible dead person. Sister Ghost, I didn't scare you. Shenjian showed a gentle smile. Even though the female ghost in front of him looked horrible, and anyone who saw it would find it unbearable to look at her, but in Shenjian's eyes, she shone with a strange beauty. There is no doubt that this is a top ghost king. It's an excellent candidate for underworld. No matter how bad she is, she can become the fuel for the 18 levels of hell. It can be said that the other party has 4 words written all over his body, huge value. Female ghost? Are you really sick? Her voice was very sharp, and she even cursed directly. Her miserable face was extremely gloomy. Looking at the smashed wall, and then at the supernatural fluctuations downstairs and upstairs where my father was constantly waking up, I felt like my whole body was turning green. This is the spy's den, the residence of the leader of the royal spies. Once this place is exposed, at least they will need to find a hiding place again, and at worst, their mission for this trip will be exposed. No matter which one it is unacceptable to her as a gatekeeper. When people sit at home, disaster comes from heaven. She was also unlucky to meet someone who didn't act according to common sense. Civilized terms, it's late at night, and I saw you lying on the door, looking like you were sleepwalking without realizing it, so I wanted to remind you to pay attention to your safety. After all, there are ghosts everywhere here, it's too dangerous. Shen Jian was not in a hurry since he didn't see the target. He said with a smile. By the way, ghost sister, can I ask you a few questions? Have you been hit by a big pendulum, run over by a carriage, or fallen from a high altitude? Don't think too much about it. I'm not saying that your current appearance is ugly, disgusting, penetrating, disgusting, and miserable. I'm just asking casually. I hope you don't think too much about it. I actually don't have any ill intentions. Shen Jian talked eloquently. The words were never repeated throughout. The vocabulary is amazing. Hear this. The female ghost was furious. A grimace turned red. The body even trembled from the distance. It's not fear, it's not excitement, it's anger. She had never thought that a person could say more than a dozen sinister and vicious words without using curse words or repeated curse words in a smiling way. Shut up. The female ghost broke her guard. Regardless of the fact that this was the secret residence of the royal spy commander, at this time, she only had one thought left in her heart: kill this bitch. The words fell. An astonishing resentment erupted from her body, mixed with thick yin qi and surging supernatural fluctuations. The doors to the surrounding boxes all opened uncontrollably at this moment. Countless doors open. Terrifying supernatural phenomena began to take effect here. The theater guests who were watching all this showed horrified expressions. Damn it! What is that woman doing on horseback? She is launching indiscriminate supernatural attacks. Below the top Ghost King, almost everyone will be killed. The ghosts want to cry but have no tears. Damn it! We just came to listen to the music. No one told them that our lives were in danger. A crazy top Ghost King, besides ghosts and gods, who else can stop him? That's what I thought. Snapped. A crisp sound sounded. All the ghost guests stared wide-eyed. They saw the wall-smashing man closest to the supernatural attack, striding up to the female ghost as if he was not affected in any way, and then a big dick slapped the female ghost on the back of the head. The huge force directly slapped the female ghost to the ground, and her face came into close contact with the ground. This moment. No one spoke in the audience. It feels ridiculous and normal at the same time. What is ridiculous is that the supernatural attack unleashed by a crazy top Ghost King ended in such a clumsy manner that it could not even affect the enemy. Normally, it would be strange if a man who dared to cause trouble in a ghost theater and smash the wall did not have such ability. Is he also a ghost? But why haven't you heard of his name? The other side. The female ghost who was slapped to the ground let out a painful cry, and her sanity temporarily returned. Most of them are in disbelief. Her supernatural attack was ineffective? How can this be? Even ghosts and gods cannot have no influence at all under the superposition of such a number of portals. But she had just seen it very clearly. There was indeed no expression on Shen Jian's face. There were no supernatural reactions on his body. This proves that Shen Jian ignored her supernatural attack. What a joke. How on earth did he do it? It's impossible for this man to be a world-destroying ghost like today's emperor. This is even more impossible. If there are other world-destroying ghosts and gods in the Qing kingdom, His Majesty will definitely take action, either to kill them, to conquer them, or to cooperate with them, but he will never let them go. If there was any action, it would be impossible to hide it from her. Think of this. The female ghost seemed to remember something when she opened the door. He took out a white candle from his body. Ready to light. The next second, the candle is missing. Looking again, there was indeed a white candle in Shen Jian's hand. Give me back. The female ghost opened the door in a hurry. Stand up and prepare to grab it back. Snapped. Another big dick. The ghost who opened the door pressed her face to the ground again, and she screamed in pain. What's the use of this thing? At this time, Shen Jian said. The ghost who opened the door didn't say anything, but struggled harder. She didn't dare to say it. Because this is a supernatural thing used to contact the spy leader. As long as it is lit, no matter how far away it is, the leader will be alerted immediately and return here. She knew that once she revealed the purpose of this thing, Shen Jian would never light it again. After all, no one wants to face a ghost. Even beings of the same level are no exception. However, at this time, Shen Jian suddenly laughed. The smile turned weird. This thing is used to contact people, right? If you light it, you can bring in reinforcements. Hear this. The ghost's face turned pale when the door opened. This man actually guessed the function of this supernatural thing. Isn't he so reckless? It's over. This moment, the ghost who opened the door was completely desperate. The function of the white candle was guessed, and she completely lost her last chance. Unless the commander is nearby now, he would have no idea that something happened to the stronghold. Then, she turned her head behind her, stared at Shen Jian with her red eyes, and said hoarsely, "You will die, you will definitely die, kill me, and there will be no place for you here. Even if you don't light the candle, our people will also. The words have not yet finished. The door opener's words were stuck in his throat. Because she saw that while she was speaking, Shen Jian also lit the white candle. At this moment, 100,000 question marks flashed through the female ghost's mind when she opened the door. She stared blankly at the lit white candle. Under the candle light, Shen Jian's face looked very pale, and there was a weird smile on his face. She was even more confused. No. What are you doing with your horse riding? Haven't you already guessed the purpose of the white candle? Why even light it? I can't handle this operation of yours. Keep talking, what will happen to me? Shen Jian grinned. He grabbed the white candle and didn't let go. It also increased the intensity of burning. Let the flame on the wick become more and more powerful. Female ghost who opened the door. For a while, she didn't know what to say. Looking at the whole scene, she behaved like a clown. Even the final scene where she spoke harshly was interrupted by Shen Jian's actions. Who sent this bitch to torture her? She just wants to say a decent word, is it so difficult? Soon, there was a change on the field. A gust of dark wind blew. There was a fishy smell and a dark shadow. A dark shadow emerged. It was a tall man wearing a mask, his entire face hidden in the darkness, and a token hung around his waist. I'm on a mission, you'd better have something important to report, otherwise you're dead. As the man appeared, a cold and murderous voice sounded simultaneously. Shen Jian blinked. The smile on his face grew stronger. This man is a ghost. No doubt. He is the spy commander the little boy calls, and he is also the leader of the mysterious team that is posing as the Just Order this time. Once the opponent is captured, the operation will be successfully concluded. He can also officially escape from death row and participate in the progress of the main mission. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian fixed his gaze on the spy commander. The spy leader only now discovered that the VIP box he had bought for a long time actually had a big hole. The spy responsible for guarding the door was lying on the ground with his face on the ground. A man with a sinister expression stepped on the spy, holding a lighted white candle in his hand, and gave him a charming smile. "Detective Commander. Mad, can anyone explain to me what happened? Just one night, your home was robbed." "Wrong. This is a thief. Isn't this obviously violent demolition of walls and robbery?" "So, he was targeted by a thief who was not afraid of death." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 707. Just a few breaths. The spy commander understood the situation in front of him. The face hidden under the mask could not help but reveal a dark look. These days, there are still people who dare to act wild in the ghost theater. Is it because they think they have a long life, or is it because of themselves? The thought of this possibility. His expression changed slightly. You must know that he is currently on a royal mission, and everything is kept confidential. Unless someone leaks the secret, what are the chances of robbing him? Then, the spy commander glanced around and soon saw the little boy hiding aside with a frightened expression on his face. You should know what will happen if you betray the organization. Seeing the little boy, Entantu immediately understood everything. His eyes seemed to say, "It turns out it was you, Timo, who brought the Imperial Army here. How dare you? Wouldn't it be better to die directly at the hands of the enemy than to be tortured by me later?" Little boy. Facing the dark and ferocious mask of his superior, the little boy showed an expression that was uglier than crying. Even though he was about to turn into an evil ghost and had a lot of resentment in his heart that wanted to destroy everything in front of him, the instinctive trembling in his body still made him a little panicked. Breathing seems to be stagnant. He can't say, "I think it would be loyal to pull everyone to die together." Thinking. The spy leader spoke, "Sink and have a sweet dream. Later, you will experience the fate of a traitor." The words fell. The little boy's eyes were dazed for a moment, and the scene in front of him suddenly changed. In his eyes, the spy commander disappeared and was replaced by an exquisite python robe. This was a garment that symbolized the identity of the royal spy commander. Putting it on, he became the new spy commander. Desire is at an all-time high at this moment. The fire in the little boy's eyes became more and more obvious. He moved his steps and began to walk towards what he saw as the pinnacle of power. Then continue. A treasure box appeared on the left side of the python robe. The treasure box was open. It was full of horror coins and overflowed. It seemed to be a cornucopia that could continuously generate money. On the right side, a rather handsome female ghost stood timidly, shouting, "Husband! My power, money, and beauty are all mine, and no one can take them from me." The little boy's eyes became even redder. He rushed forward looking overly excited. The other side. Shen Jian looked at everything in front of him and felt a little strange. Because everything in the little boy's eyes was indeed presented in front of him, whether it was a python robe, a cornucopia, or a beauty, he could see it. In other words, this is not just an illusion. Instead, all the desires hidden in the little boy's heart were revealed. And this seems to be true. At least the female ghost that appeared did have a yin energy reaction on her body. See this. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. It is indeed a ghost-level existence. Not to mention anything else, the supernatural effect of this manifestation alone is extremely rare. The effect should be to bring out the greatest desires hidden in others' hearts, and then use this desire to make the victim sink. And because of the special nature of the supernatural, it is really convenient to use in review. Think about it. When the little boy was about to walk past him, Shen Jian stretched out his hand and put it on his shoulder. The little boy hesitated. He turned around with a ferocious expression, stared at Shen Jian, and said ferociously, "You want to steal my things? Get out of here right now, or I'll kill you." At this time, the little boy only saw greed and madness in his eyes. When he saw Shen Jian trying to stop him from approaching, he seemed to be seeing the enemy who killed his father, and his expression looked very disgusting. "Haha, what are your things? These are obviously mine. Why, you want to steal them?" Shen Jian said with a smile. The ghost rope on his wrist revived again, lifting the little boy up out of thin air. That moment, the feeling of suffocation came over me. The fear of death reminded him of something immediately. When he looked at Shen Jian again, his eyes were filled with horror. He shouted with difficulty, "Sir, I was wrong, I shouldn't have robbed you. You can take as much of the thriller coins here as you like, but the python robe is of no use to you. There is also Xiaowan, she is my childhood sweetheart. Hear this." Shen Jian looked as usual. "Can't the supernatural effect be lifted even when I'm about to die? Think about it." Shen Jian continued, "What are you talking about? You go out to work and your time at home should be very short. You don't want me to help you take care of your childhood sweetheart? Little boy." His expression froze. The back molars are almost broken. "Bullying ghosts is too much. You take care of me? Take care of me in bed? You bitch, sneaking around doesn't satisfy you anymore. Do you want me to send my childhood sweetheart to your room in person? Grass." He was 10,000 unwilling. But under Shen Jian's dangerous eyes, the little boy still lowered his head and said painfully, "Sir, can I stay? I'm worried that Xiaowan is too delicate and can't bear it." "Shen Jian?" He was slightly startled. "Your childhood sweetheart and I are having sex together, are you watching?" Hiss. It seems that he has never tried this kind of thing. He was a little moved when he said it. But after taking one look at Xiaojuan's beauty, Shen Jian gave up this idea. A punch filled with yin energy hit the little boy in the eye. "Ah!" The little boy screamed. "Open your eyes again." There were no python robes, money, or beauties in front of him. There was just a masked figure exuding a cold aura. Am I being tricked? After waking up, the expression on the little boy's face became even more frightened. He still remembered everything that had just happened, but at the time, he didn't notice anything was wrong at all. He was obviously in a ghost theater, so how could his childhood sweetheart appear here, and how could a cornucopia of money-generating treasures really exist? But he just believed it. And this moth flies into the flame. Terrible. Such a supernatural attack leaves people completely defenseless. If it hadn't been for Shen Jian's punch, he would have sunk into such desires and would never be able to wake up again. In this case, what is the difference between a crash and? Because desires will be embodied, that is to say, everything he thinks will be presented to others. No wonder he heard that the spy commander was unrivaled in interrogating and gathering intelligence. It turned out to be the case. Thoughts are spinning. The atmosphere on the court became more solemn. This time, the spy leader finally set his sights on Shen Jian. The eyes are sinister. This guy actually lifted his supernatural attack. Although his supernatural attack does focus on the eyes, beatings cannot relieve the sunken supernatural being. To be more precise, unless he agrees, it is impossible for a sinking person to wake up. But now, someone broke this definition. Who are you? The spy commander's voice was hoarse. Me? I'm just a righteous man passing by, looking for the leader of the righteous order. The corners of Shen Jian's lips curled up, staring at each other with faint eyes. Looking for death, I don't know how you did it, but how can you break free from sinking on your own? Let me see what is the thing you desire most in your heart. The spy commander said sadly. The words fell. Shen Jian's eyes were also dazed for a moment. The thing that my heart longs for most, he muttered. Then he looked up. On the ceiling, a fierce ghost suddenly appeared and was lying on it. The level of terror has reached the top Ghost King level. Take another look. A woman walked out of the darkness. Her limbs were twisted and her body was deformed. She looked terrifying. A puddle of water fell on the ground, and a bloated water ghost crawled out. In the pottery, a scarlet eye opened. On the beam, a hanged man was hanging on biling, his body shaking. Even in the corner, you can hear the sound of hitting a ball and the laughter of children. At this time, in the private room, densely packed top Ghost King level ghosts kept popping up, occupying every corner of the room, staring straight at the side with a pair of dead eyes. At a glance, there are already more than 20. This moment, the whole audience was stunned. Damn it! Where did these top Ghost Kings come from? It's so scary. Although we are also ghosts, we don't need to be scared. Besides, didn't the spy commander just launch a supernatural attack? Why didn't what Shen Jian wanted most appear, but instead a large number of top Ghost Kings emerged? Suddenly, everyone seemed to have thought of something. Everyone's eyes widened. I couldn't help but feel a chill in my heart. Could it be that this is what this man desires most? Oh my God! What kind of hellish desire do you have? It's so curious. One cannot, at least one should not. Don't you crave power? Don't you crave money? Don't you crave beauty? No matter how bad it is, you can just long for strength. The ghosts are in chaos. At this time, the number of top Ghost Kings is still increasing. The secret agent commander's expression also changed. These are real top Ghost Kings, not fake, but the price of appearing out of thin air is that his yin qi will permanently decrease. Certainly. As long as he takes back these materialized things, it will have no impact. But looking at the man's posture, his desire is still strong. There will also be several top Ghost Kings created out of thin air, no one knows. Think of this. His face was almost green. He had never thought that what someone desires most in his heart would be the top Ghost King. At this time, Shen Jian muttered, "Just give her a try." The words fell. The spy leader was horrified to find that 2/3 of his yin qi had suddenly disappeared, and it was still declining at a speed visible to the naked eye. And on the field, a bright golden light appeared faintly. In the golden light, a graceful figure loomed. This figure seemed to be a woman, shrouded in golden light, with a golden round wheel hanging behind her, making her look like a goddess. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. Because what he is thinking about right now is the glorious ghosts and gods. No, stop it. Stop it. What kind of terrifying existence are you summoning? The spy commander roared almost madly. He stretched out his hand to stop Shen Jian. Because he found that his supernatural powers could no longer be taken back. An unknown and terrifying existence is constantly devouring his yin qi, trying to come here. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 708. On the field. Dazzling golden light suddenly bloomed. A figure shrouded in golden light, like a goddess, is trying to forcefully come here with the help of a medium. Terrifying supernatural fluctuations swept the entire place. Whether it was the ghost guests upstairs, downstairs, or in the private rooms on the same floor, their expressions changed greatly at this time, and their ghostly faces turned pale. Crooked Sun. What happened? Could it be that the supernatural master of the ghost theater came out? But, although ghosts and gods are scary, it is impossible for them to produce such a terrifying supernatural threat. With this feeling, they thought they had met the Qing Emperor. The ghosts were horrified. Pupils shook violently. Everyone wants to know what happened at the source of the battlefield. The other side. There was also the spy commander with a horrified look on his face. His eyes almost widened. The canthus of the eyes is about to split. I just feel that the yin qi in my body is declining rapidly, like a dam releasing floods, completely unable to stop the flow out. It was as if a terrifying existence sensed this supernatural call and tried to come here in its true form. Judging from the speed of his yin qi loss, the terrifying level of this existence has surpassed the level of ghosts and gods. It is very likely that he is a world-destroying ghost and god like the Emperor of Qing. Think of this. The spy commander was even more panicked. His supernatural power can only create ghosts with lower terror levels than him out of thin air. As for the ghost level, he has also experimented with it, but it was not until his yin qi dried up that he could barely manifest it. In other words, manifesting other ghosts and gods means that he has completely lost his ability and cannot achieve the effect of 1 + 1 = 3. On the contrary, it is a weakening of him. Most of the time, his supernatural power is used for interrogation and intelligence gathering. As for manifesting world-destroying ghosts and gods, he has never tried it. Because he doesn't have enough yin qi to support him. If you insist on having your own way, the consequences are likely to be that the yin energy will be sucked dry and you will fall into a state of death. And this situation is the same as now. Stop, stop, stop thinking so wildly. Do you know what you are shouting? The spy leader rushed towards Shen Jian like crazy. See this? Shen Jian just glanced at it. Don't care. On the contrary. His expression was very excited. Originally it was just a whim, thinking of catching a few more top ghost kings, but I didn't expect that the idea of manifesting glorious ghosts and gods was actually feasible. Wrong. Under normal circumstances, this should not be possible. But the glorious ghosts and gods seemed to be able to sense this supernatural cry, and came forcibly through this medium, which resulted in the current situation. Thinking. No. The spy leader stretched out his hand to interrupt Shen Jian's thoughts, but when he got closer to Shen Jian, the golden light on the field took shape. Finally. Thump. The spy commander fell down. Fell into a dead state. And all the yin qi in him has dissipated. He became a lonely wild ghost that was weaker than the white-clothed ghost. Little boy. Female ghost who opened the door. Watch this scene. The two were stunned. The dignified secret agent commander died so casually. This is too grassy. They couldn't help but slap each other in the face. Ah! Two sounds of pain sounded. The two covered their faces. It hurts, this really wasn't a dream. At the same time, an ethereal voice sounded in their ears, huh? I made a mistake. I thought it was another ghost believer who wanted to serve me and sacrificed his life. This is, Zhoujuyan Tian Palace. Let me think about it, this place seems to be under the command of the Qing Kingdom. The woman shrouded in golden light took a closer look and nodded thoughtfully. It seems there was a real mistake. The woman in front of them asked and answered herself, but the supernatural threat emanating from her was so terrifying that even within 10 meters of her, as top ghost kings, they didn't even have the courage to raise their heads. The head kept hanging on the ground. There was extreme horror on his face. They swallowed hard and dared not speak at all. This is an unknown being that came here after draining their leader. And, according to her words, the other party seems to have a large number of ghosts and gods under his command. These ghosts and gods are all her followers, and some of them want to sacrifice their lives to serve the other party. Just by imagining, they could guess how terrifying this golden figure was. This is definitely a world-destroying ghost and god on the same level as the Emperor of Qing. In the entire Qing kingdom, only Emperor Qing was qualified to face her. At this time, when the two heard it, Shen Jian spoke. "Put away the golden light and avoid me. You are an idol with a heavy burden." "Little boy. Door opener?" The two of them were dumbfounded. "Damn it! What nonsense are you talking about? God took away the golden light. Are you now disgusted by the golden light flashing on you from a world-destroying ghost and god? Grass. Your words have struck a chord with us. However, here comes the one who is even more shocked." Hearing Shen Jian's words, the goddess shrouded in golden light really took back the golden light. The tone seemed a little surprised. "Why are you here? You were the one calling me through the medium just now. These two people know each other." Thinking of this possibility, both the little boy and the ghost who opened the door couldn't help crying. If they fall on this man, they are doomed. Ignoring the two people's reactions, Shen Jian looked at the glorious ghost in front of him. Wearing a gilt long dress, she showed off her beautiful figure completely. She was wearing a white patterned shawl, her skin was like gelatin, and her aura was like orchid. Behind him, golden stars were dotted. It made her look like a goddess. "What's your current state?" Shen Jian asked. "About 1/10 of the faith has descended. The medium is too rubbish. If it weren't for the fact that he is also a ghost, I wouldn't have bothered to descend. I just didn't expect that it was you who called me." The glorious ghosts were a little disgusted. She seemed acclimated to this place without her faith. "If you have anything to say, it's best to do it as soon as possible, because the medium is gone and I will disappear soon." Shen Jian didn't see anyone else, and opened his mouth. "When can I get the dragon energy you promised me? It's still a little bit short. Half of my faith is walking in the 5th place, Luo Fengtian, but something happened. The dragon's energy has been taken away and it has become an owner. I'm negotiating." The glorious ghost explained. Hear the words. Shen Jian couldn't help but frown. Negotiate? For the glorious ghosts and gods, what kind of existence can use the word negotiation? There is no doubt that he is at least a world-destroying ghost and god. Only this kind of equal existence could delay the glorious ghosts and gods for such a long time. It seems. The situation of Luo Fengtian in the 5th place was more chaotic and more powerful than he imagined. "As soon as possible, I have gathered all the authority of Zhouju Yintian Palace," Shen Jian said. Huang Huigishan was stunned. As if he thought of something. "Now you plan to touch the one on Emperor Qing?" "Can't. That's not true, but you are quite fast." There were huge changes in the entertainment city, and world-weary ghosts and gods disappeared. "You should have done this too." Shen Jian nodded slightly. There was no rebuttal. "See it?" Fear flashed through the eyes of the glorious ghost and god at first, and then he breathed a deep sigh of relief. "Fortunately, I handed over my authority from the beginning, otherwise I might not have been the first one to disappear." Shen Jian said nothing. Because that's what he thought at first. "By the way, since you are in the 5th place, Luo Fengtian, then help me investigate the clues about Po Meng and the potion." "The potion of life and death? I understand." The glorious ghost nodded. "The body shape is about to disappear. I heard Shen Jian say something else before leaving. I may call you a few more times in the future." "Glorious ghost?" She was a little confused. "The media parties are already gone, how can you still call me in this way? And there seems to be nothing to talk about between us. Call me a few more times. Is this an awkward conversation?" With this confusion, the glorious ghost disappeared in place. There was a strange light shining in Shen Jian's eyes. He knew that this glorious ghost had an unknown hobby, which was voyeurism, and he also peeped into interesting things between couples. At first, when he was competing with Leah and Lila, two sisters with one body and two souls, on their pile-driving skills at the Temple of Elim, the shining ghost was hiding and watching from the beginning to the end, even adding to the fun on his own. It was obviously a matter of two people, but it brought joy to four people. This feeling is pretty good. Then, after Shen exercised, a hexagonal golden wheel appeared. On the third corner, a figure wearing a mask is engraved. This moment, the supernatural power of spying on the head is also under his control. He does not need to rely on others, he can summon the glorious ghosts and gods through the medium himself. Think of this. Shen Jian showed a simple expression like an old farmer. He looked at the room full of top ghost kings, as if he were seeing a bumper harvest of wheat, harvested one after another. Not long after. Just pack up all the top ghost kings and take them away. The difference between the underworld and the underworld is both quantity and quality. In terms of quantity, with the support of the third Luo Fengtian Entertainment City, there is no shortage in a short time. But there are not many ghosts in the underworld today who are above the top ghost king level. Just relying on an entertainment city is not efficient. But plus him, that's enough. It doesn't take a year for him to make the underworld's Yin Cha become the top ghost king among them all. By then, the underworld can truly compete with the horror world. Do it all. Shen Jian walked out of the box. At this time, in the ghost theater, the ghosts have dispersed. Everyone returned to their own boxes. They were very curious about who the reckless man was who dared to take action here, and also curious about what happened to the terrifying supernatural threat just now, but they cherish their lives even more. This seems to be a situation that they cannot participate in. The most correct approach is to act as if nothing happened. To this, Shen Jian didn't say anything. After catching the spy leader, the purpose of his trip was achieved. Other ghosts are not very attractive to him. That's what I thought. A figure appeared at the door. Wearing traditional opera costumes and wearing peaking opera facial makeup, the horror level has reached the level of a top ghost king. Master Ghost and God, the Queen wants to see you. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the King of Hell of the 10th Palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 709. Facing the blocker, Shen Jian was slightly startled. Look away. This person seems to be a performer at the ghost theater. He looks to be in his 20s. Apart from the peaking opera facial makeup on his face, he should be a scholar in terms of clothing. In the opera, he plays the role of a niche student. Certainly. This is not what Shen Jian cares about. What he cares more about is what the other person says. Queen. The official wife of Emperor Qing and his matchmaker? Queen of Qingguo? The master of the harem of the mother-in-law world? Princess Milan is one of the most noble women in the Qing kingdom. The queen is undoubtedly the most noble woman in the Qing kingdom. Throughout the ages, the identity of a country's queen has been unquestionable. The emperor is the sun and the queen is the moon. The sun and the moon shine together, and they remain unchanged forever. Why does such an existence appear here? Just thinking about it? The little boy next to Shen Jian lowered his voice and explained, I have indeed heard that the queen has always loved opera, and the Ghost Opera Theatre is the most powerful opera performance team in Qing Dynasty. Rumor has it that the queen is also a VIP guest here. It's not surprising to appear here. The ghost boy opposite also heard the little boy's words and spoke again, Master Ghost, the Empress really wants to see you, but her status is sensitive and she cannot appear in the public eye. Otherwise, I am afraid there will be no chance to come here again in the future. I hope you can forgive me. Hear this. Shen Jian was thoughtful. The people from the Ghost Theater can convey the meaning. It seems that the Queen has some kind of relationship with the Ghost Theater. Think about it. Shen Jian agreed. He really wanted to meet the mother of a country, the Queen who cared for the world. Lead the way. Shen Jian said. Soon. Shen Jian has arrived at a private box with excellent privacy. Gui Xiaosheng stopped the little boy and said respectfully to Shen Jian, Master Gishan, please forgive me. Your men please stay outside with me for the time being. The Queen only intends to see you. Little boy. Subordinates. I'll hum you. How do I look like a subordinate when I'm riding a horse? You're blind. He glared angrily, raised his face, and said word by word, see clearly, I am clearly the master's slave. Gui Xiaosheng. He originally had a serious look on his face, but he was put off by the words of this dwarf. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Isn't the status of a slave lower than that of a subordinate? What the hell are you proud of? To this. Shen Jian ignored it. Push the door open and enter. Inside the private room, it is antique, with the fragrance of bamboo blowing towards your face, and a barrier that looks like a floor-to-ceiling window allows people inside to clearly see the situation outside. But people outside can't see what's going on inside. And in front of the barrier, on a bench, there sat a noble and beautiful woman with elegant manners and gorgeous appearance. Her eyes were not as majestic and cold as Princess Milan, but were extremely sultry, as if to seduce people's soul, and could charm her. The man's soul was completely taken away. After just one glance, Shen Jian's eyes narrowed slightly. He has seen all kinds of dignified, elegant, cold, and arrogant, gentle and alluring female ghosts, but this is the first time he has seen a seductive female ghost. Even Cleopatra, who was naturally charming and supernatural, relied on supernatural influence to disarm men with just one look. However, the noble and beautiful woman in front of her is seductive from the inside out, and is natural. A frown or a smile can trigger evil thoughts in a man. In the TV series, this is a vixen with a naturally charming body. Shen Jian stepped closer. See more clearly. The noble and beautiful woman in front of her is radiant, and her whole body exudes a mature temptation. Her appearance is exquisite yet elegant, and her exposed jade hands exude a crystal luster. They are as white as jade, making people unable to help but think. Take a bite. The only thing that ruined this beauty was the faint flow of blood on the wrist. With each circulation, the color of the flowing blood became darker. It looks like the body becomes transparent, allowing people to see the vascular tissue. In human aesthetics, this is undoubtedly a disease. No. It should be said to be a deformity. Because on normal human skin, all you see are blood vessels, not blood flow directly. This indicates that the noble and beautiful woman in front of her is not a human being, but a ghost. Shen Jian took a few glances. There was something strange in his eyes. Queen of the Qing dynasty Zhan Taimingjing. Level, Top Ghost King. Introduction, the most noble woman in the Qing dynasty, the master of the harem with a mother-in-law in the world, has understood her destiny since she was a child. She needs to marry an unknown man and become the queen of a country. This will consolidate the relationship between the Zantai family and the royal family. Starting from an early age she was learning how to be a qualified mother of the world. She saw no hope for the future and was in a state of ruin. An accident between life and death made her start to resist. Current status, alert, scrutinizing, curious. Favorability, 20. First acquaintance. Looking at the introduction on the favorability panel, Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. An accident between life and death? Someone dares to kill the queen of a country? Shen Jian suddenly remembered that Princess Milan seemed to have said that the reason she was imprisoned was because she was accused of plotting against the queen. Could it be this? Thinking. The noble and beautiful woman on the bench moved her beautiful eyes slightly and looked up and down a few times. There was surprise, curiosity, and scrutiny in his eyes. I was surprised by Shen Jian's actions tonight, curious about Shen Jian's strength, and scrutinized Shen Jian's dress. Moment. This noble and beautiful woman got straight to the point. I am Zhan Taimingjing, the current queen. I came to you today to ask you for a favor. Shen Jian was non-committal. Indicate the other person to continue speaking. I just watched your conflict with the local box. You are a ghost and god, and the level of terror is much higher than that of another ghost and god. You can kill a ghost and god head-on in just a few minutes. Your strength is even compared to Qing dynasty. There are few people in the country who can compare. I want to hire you to be my son's teacher. The conditions are whatever you want. I am the queen of Qing and the eldest daughter of the Zantai family. The resources I have are not useless even to ghosts and gods. I can give you whatever you need. After listening, Shen Jian's head tilted. Be a teacher? He's familiar with this, it's his job. Who is your son? The queen. She was a little stunned. Don't know who her son is? She is the queen of Qingguo. How could anyone in Qingguo not know who her son is? But looking at Shen Jian's expression, it seemed like he really didn't know. A few moments of silence. The queen's red lips parted. 13th prince. Shen Jian nodded slightly. The 13th prince, he didn't know who he was, and he never knew him. But since he is the eldest son of this queen, he must also be a strong contender for the crown prince's position. Even though he is the 13th prince, his status is the most noble one. After all, since the death of Her Royal Highness the princess's mother, the former queen, the mother of the 13th prince is the queen of a kingdom, and her son, although the 13th son of Emperor Qing, is also the queen's eldest son. In terms of identity, it has great advantages. You say you're a teacher, but you actually want me to protect your son. However, I'm curious, why did the queen dare to entrust the 13th prince to me when she doesn't even know my identity? Shen Jian asked. The eyes are intriguing. He had never met the queen before, and today was the first time they met. Moreover, his performance at the Ghost Theater was unscrupulous. He didn't understand how the queen dared to place such a heavy bet. Who said that I don't know your identity? It is precisely because I know your identity that I can safely hand it over to you, right? Lord Shen, the wanted former envoy of the night travel god town. I don't know if you are really not afraid or if you have some plans, but I suggest that you cover your face even if you go out at night. After all, you are so recognizable that I will never forget you once I see you. Your face. The queen's beautiful eyes are flowing. Sincerely. She had to admit that Shen Jian was the most handsome person she had ever seen. That face is not very recognizable. Certainly. What she didn't say was that after learning about Shen Jian's amazing deeds, she actually collected detailed information about Shen Jian. She was somewhat interested in this man who dared to brave the disapproval of the world and kill a prince in public. She felt that it would be great if she were Shen Jian. In that case, she would not have to force herself to be with a man she had never met a few times. A man who has no feelings at all gets married and is trapped in the palace. Because of this, she read Shen Jian's deeds several times. She also read various versions of folk novels several times. Only then can Shen Jian be recognized at a glance. She could doubt anything, but she would never doubt Shen Jian's character. Because to the people of Qing Kingdom, Shen Jian is no different from a hero. Smell it? The interest in Shen Jian's eyes became even greater. Since the queen knows my identity, she still dares to let me be the teacher of the 13th prince. Are she not afraid of being discovered by Emperor Qing or the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty, and then losing her life? If my identity is discovered, the 13th prince may lose his life forever. The opportunity to become a prince, doesn't the queen understand this? Zhan Taimingjing's face darkened. Even without you, We would not end up much better if we were caught in a fight for the right to inherit the throne. Moreover, the Zhantai family has a way to hide your identity and allow you to travel unhindered in Qing. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. It seems that because of the identity of the empress in front of him, the 13th prince became the target of the fire. Although his mother was the queen of a country, she was not the first queen. As a result, after he was born, he had no status, but was inferior to his brothers in terms of power and heritage. Needless to say, the cruelty of the battle for the right of inheritance is needless to say. Framing by design is common. Even the queen's life is in danger, let alone a 13th prince who has not yet fully matured his wings. The 13th prince, do you plan to use your identity to inherit the position of crown prince? Shen Jian asked again. Zhan Mingjing shook his head. Zhi does not have such an ambitious goal. He thinks that he is not as powerful as the prince, not as wise as the eldest daughter of the emperor, and not as ruthless as the third prince. His goal, just to survive, but for him, living is a luxury. Shen Jian nodded slightly. Indeed, even if the eldest son of the current queen said that he had no ambitions, no one would believe him. Killing him is the simplest and quickest way. Think about it. Shen Jian smiled and said, "Okay, I agreed. As for the conditions, I owe you first. When I think about it, I will ask for it myself." Hear this assurance. The queen's anxious heart finally relaxed. She grabbed Shen Jian's hand and said seriously with beautiful eyes, "Then please." Shen Jian's eyes were strange. I just felt an intoxicating fragrance coming towards me. This queen has an intoxicating fragrance that is inconsistent with her age. This fragrance is like a sultry potion, stimulating people's hearts. See this. Shen Jian also put his hand up. A pleasure to work with. Say it. Just release it directly without any suspicion of overstepping. But his move still shocked the queen, and she subconsciously let go of Shen Jian's hand. She also understood that she was too excited to hold the hand of a young man in such a private occasion. If it were seen, everything would be unclear. "Mr. Shen, please keep everything in the box confidential today," Zhan Mingjing warned. Shen Jian nodded. Then he walked out of the box. Before leaving, he glanced back. Queen of the Qing dynasty Zhan Mingjing. Current status, excited, relaxed, satisfied. Favorability, 42, friendly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 710. Back on death row. Shen Jian immediately informed Princess Milan. What? This order of justice is faked by a royal spy? You also arrested the spy leader. The eldest princess suddenly stood up. Jian Shuakai's eyes were full of solemnity. She looked at the body of the underground spy leader and her face became uncertain. After all, no one would have thought that the culprit who caused chaos in the imperial capital of Qing and caused panic among people was actually the royal family itself. Why did he do this? Princess Milan asked her inner doubts. This person, of course, refers to the current Qingguo saint. Even if the royal family really wants to arrest Shen Jian, it should do it secretly, without alerting the snake, or if it fails, it should set a trap and make a foolproof plan before taking action. However, it sent a royal spy to pretend to be a member of the Order of Justice, and started a massacre in the imperial capital, committing a crime. There have been several major accidents, which looks like a way for elementary school students to vent their anger. The only benefit is to throw dirty water on Shen Jian and ruin his reputation. Beyond that, it does more harm than good. Was such a simple way of venting her anger really what her father had promised? This is too confusing. What is the difference between Yangjun and Yangjun? Shen Jian said nothing. Leave enough time for the eldest princess to think. Then he finally said, Emperor Qing, do you have a close relationship with Prince Li? Princess Milan thought, at least in my opinion, there is no sign of this. In the original battle for the throne, my father and Prince Li were actually competitors. But suddenly one day, the situation changed. Prince Li chose in order to give up, my father naturally ascended the throne, and canonized Prince Li as a prince, enjoying real power, which can be said to be inferior to one person and superior to 10,000 people in the entire Qing kingdom. After that, the exchanges between the two people were not frequent. Although Prince Li was the real prince and had the power to make decisions in the court, he chose to stay away from the court and faded out of Qing's sight. If it hadn't been for the impact of the previous massacre, it's so huge, I'm afraid no one has thought that this matter is related to Prince Li. Shen Jian frowned slightly. Just like this, there is no secret between the two of them. At most, it was just some kind of deal that had been made between Emperor Qing and Prince Li, and some kind of consensus had been reached. Okay, I will follow the clues to investigate this matter. Don't interfere. I suspect there are some secrets that I don't know about. I will tell you after I investigate the truth. Princess Milan said decisively. And the body of the spy leader cannot be thrown away. Didn't you raid the opponent's den? Tell me the information about the specific members and I will solve this matter for you. Just wait a few days and I will be able to pass the operation. Get you off death row. As for the ghost theater, that place is the property of the Zhantai family. My people can't penetrate it, and there are too many people and it's difficult to deal with it. Her tone was stern. Thinking about how to help Shen Jian deal with the aftermath. Shen Jian saw it. Think about it. He opened his mouth and said, there is no need to deal with it at the ghost theater. Princess Milan? She was a little stunned. Shen Jian did not hide anything and told the story of his encounter with the queen. Of course, he did not tell about some of his little thoughts and the reasons for agreeing to the queen. Are you teaching the 13th emperor? She is very discerning. I thought that a woman like her would be killed soon. Unexpectedly, the last poisonous wine incident made her wake up. Princess Milan murmured to herself. Look relaxed. Aren't you nervous? It seems that the queen may have something on her mind. Shen Jian said casually. It doesn't matter. Among this group of people, the prince who was sent to the East Palace to reflect and the ruthless third prince are a threat. I think I can still control the others, especially the 13th emperor, who actually has a good relationship with me. After all, I am the eldest daughter of the emperor, and his mother is the current empress. I need to greet you many times, and I have to go back and forth, but this 13th emperor's younger brother is very attached to me. Clinging to you. Shen Jian was slightly startled. Of course, he is only 10 years old. Because of his mother's identity, he has been ostracized by many people. The prince and others have also targeted him overtly and covertly. To be honest, his situation is not good. In the fight for the heir, the one who dies first, it could be him. Shen Jian was thoughtful. From this point of view, it is no wonder that the queen would make such a plan. A 10-year-old child needs to compete with a group of full-fledged princes for the position of prince, but his mother is still a queen, so her status lies there. Unless he dies, not to mention the prince, even the other princes will be uneasy. But, why did you agree to such a thankless thing? Thinking. Princess Milan suddenly asked. He stared straight at Shen Jian, as if he wanted to see what he was thinking from his eyes. Shen Jian. His facial muscles twitched slightly. Can he still say that he has some dirty little thoughts? Then Shen Jian changed the subject and said, what? Are you afraid that I will change the lineup? Your Highness, I said that I will only choose you. No matter how many times you ask, my answer will always be like this. This is true when I first met you. Since then, it has already taken root in my heart," said. Shen Jian grabbed the hand of the eldest princess and said seriously. Really? Perhaps she was used to being taken advantage of like this. This time, Princess Midalin did not withdraw her hand in a hurry, but looked at Shen Jian suspiciously. She has not forgotten that this man is full of courage. When he was in prison, he dared to flirt with the wife of a third-grade minister, and made her miss her day and night, even going so far as to break up with her husband. The queen is definitely one of the most beautiful women in Qing dynasty. Especially her status as the mother of a country and the master of the harem attracted the attention of men all over the world. Just in case. Thinking of some possibility, even the eldest princess was startled into a cold sweat. Master Shen, I must remind you not to overstep your bounds. You are the queen after all. She gave a vague warning. Shen Jian pretended to be innocent, neither nodding nor shaking his head. Forget it, the queen knows what's appropriate anyway. See this. Her Royal Highness the princess didn't think any more. But I remembered one thing. It is said that before the queen entered the palace, she had a very good relationship with the vice minister's wife. Even now, she will go to the palace from time to time to communicate. At the beginning, my father's choice for the queen was actually the vice minister's wife. But later, the vice minister's wife found Mr. Ruyi first, and thus avoided the fate of entering the palace. Shen Jian listened. I have some ideas in my mind. That's all. The two of them discussed the battle for the heir until much of the night. From Shen Jian learned many secrets about King Guo. I also know more about this queen. Early morning. Shen Jian returned to his own room on death row. At this time, the cell has been transformed. Not only is there an extra soft bed, but there are also many more daily necessities. At first glance, it was the eldest princess who sent someone to make arrangements during his operation. When Shen Jian returns, lying on the big bed, I don't know how many death row prisoners were envious and jealous. I can't wait to replace Shen Jian. It makes no sense. Even if he arranges meals, he can still enter and leave the death row freely. Even if he disappears for most of the night, no one will check the ward and sound the alarm. Now, the cell is undergoing major renovations. Are you afraid that others won't know that you came here just to experience life on death row? The other side. See Shen Jian coming back. All the players also watched eagerly. Through the iron prison, one can see Shen Jian's high-quality life and their survival life. They slept on dry and wet hemp straw. The cell was dark and damp, and the smell was even worse. They had to endure a dinner that was like pig food and could only eat one meal a day. As for Shen Jian, he had 3 meals a day, as well as fruits before and after meals. The maid had to feed him personally. The cell was treated, covered with high-quality sheepskin, and there was a big bed to lie on. Not to mention being placed in a death row where death row prisoners are imprisoned. Even if placed in the real world, this kind of life where food comes to eat can be called rotten. The vast majority of them have never experienced this kind of life of being served by capital. Yamluo, can we ask, have you decided which prince to choose? At this time, a high-level player asked. These words attracted everyone's attention. Shen Jian said casually, didn't you see it? As soon as these words came out, everyone's pupils shrank. The player who spoke earlier was surprised and asked, you mean, you chose the eldest princess? Are you crazy? Have you thought clearly? In all dynasties, unless all the princes die, there is no reason for women to succeed to the throne. Then this is the first case. Shen Jian looked as usual. Hear this. All the players were in panic. This horse riding is actually not a joke, but serious. Real or fake? As a 5-star player, don't you know how difficult it is for a woman to inherit the throne? Where did he get the confidence that a woman could succeed to the throne? Even Wu Zetian was only able to intervene in the court step by step with the help of the emperor, and she only ascended the throne and proclaimed herself emperor in her 70s. An eldest princess, the eldest daughter of the emperor, why should she? The players fell silent. He looked at Shen Jian in the cell with different expressions. Everyone wanted to know whether Shen Jian knew something inside, or whether he simply believed that the eldest princess was reliable. If it's the former, then they will follow. If it was the latter, they had better make plans early and part ways with Shen Jian. After all, they don't want to choose a hopeless candidate and become the target of massacre. This night, it's destined to be a sleepless night. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 711. The third day. This is the third day that players enter the 5-star dungeon and spend time in the dark and damp death row. During this time, relying on the intimidation brought by Shen Jian, the prisoners on death row in the cell were extremely honest. No one dared to stand out too much for fear of being targeted by Shen Jian, the new prison bully, and dragged out and beaten. Because of this, using this relationship, players learned a lot of information. The most critical one is the opportunity to get out of death row. A young man with the ID of Sky Snake began to share the information he knew. He is the third highest level player in the game, with a level as high as 58. He is a young man who looks to be in his mid-20s, with sinister eyes, and there is a faint evil ghost living in his pupils, and he is caught by his gaze. Like being stared at by a ghost, making me feel uncomfortable all over. In the past 2 days, I learned from those death row inmates that death row is actually a cannon fodder camp in a sense. After all, everyone knows that ghosts will not die. Even if they are executed, decades or hundreds of years later, they will still be there. It will revive supernaturally, and because of this, the Qing royal family developed this place into a cannon fodder concentration camp. When cannon fodder is needed, they will come here to select people. And this is where the vitality lies. If the chosen one likes us, we can escape from death row and become a secret guard. Although we need to wear a mask all day long, it is an advantage for us. The words fell. A group of players started a heated discussion. This is right. It's impossible for a thriller game not to leave a trace of life behind. Without such a way, with the abilities of a group of 4-star players, it would be impossible for them to get out of death row, let alone participate in the subsequent battle for inheritance. At this time, another rough mining player said, his ID is Sky Tiger, level 57, and he seems to be friends with the Sky Snake who shared the information at the beginning. In other words, as long as we wait for the princes who participated in the seizure of the air to come and select cannon fodder, we can successfully complete the side mission and then seamlessly connect to the main mission. That's roughly it. The question now is, how do we know which prince has the highest winning rate? And the most critical question, how do we let this prince pick people? Tianxi spoke out everyone's thoughts. If they were not on death row, they would naturally have more choices. However, the difficulty of the 5-star dungeon caused them to lose their independent power from the beginning, and they could only passively choose the prince to join. If they make the wrong choice, as secret guards performing some shady tasks, they are likely to be the first to die. This requires a test of vision, intelligence capabilities, analytical skills, and luck. After all, throughout the dynasties, most of the people who stand out are often not the ones that everyone is optimistic about at the beginning. How to choose depends entirely on their analysis. At this time, Tian Snake once again acted as the leader. Let me tell you what I know first. In the entire Qing dynasty court, the most optimistic person should be the current prince. During the absence of Emperor Qing, he supervised the country many times, and the imperial court, some of them are also members of the prince's party, and they have almost been recognized as the next emperor of Qing dynasty. But, 2 months ago, a major incident occurred that shocked the government and the public. A night-wandering god from the fourth-ranked town broke into the palace while the prince was supervising the country, kidnapped the royal prince, and beheaded him in the street in full view of the public. After that, the night-wandering god envoy became the final justice of the Qing kingdom, and the prince was imprisoned in the East Palace by Emperor Qing to reflect, and he was suspected of being disappointed in the prince. Tianhu hummed, I also learned from a prisoner that the third prince of the current dynasty had the demeanor of Emperor Qing when he was young. He was decisive in killing and seemed to be quite appreciated by the generals of the dynasty. In recent months, he has received many awards one after another. Emperor Qing praised him for his ability to compete with the prince. Another high-level player said, there is also a 13th prince. He is the eldest son of the current queen. He has a huge advantage in terms of status. And according to the jailer, this 13th prince is also supported by the queen's natal family. And there is some hope. At this time, Wang Quan, who had been silent all this time, also made a hoarse and low voice, don't forget, in addition to the prince, there is also an eldest princess. Judging from the fact that she took over the death row quietly, she is more powerful than the other princes. She is so strong that even the fourth prince cannot penetrate the death row, but she can easily send people over. Hear this. All the players looked at each other. His eyes subconsciously fell on Shen Jian, who was not involved in the discussion. Because Shen Jian's chosen target was none other than the emperor's eldest daughter. They didn't know whether what Shen Jian said was true or false, but judging from the preferential treatment Shen Jian received, it was most likely true. But, even so, they won't consider the eldest princess either. A woman's succession to the throne is a fantasy. Even just becoming a prince seems to them to be a fantastic thing. Just by imagining, they can guess how huge the resistance they encountered is. Without the power to resist the entire Qing kingdom's powerful people, all this is empty talk. At this point, they don't think the eldest princess can be satisfied. Then, they tacitly ignored this option. Only consider the 3 princes, the prince, the third prince, and the 13th prince. The prince is the most promising and the most difficult to join. The third prince is violent, and becoming his secret guard means that the task to be performed may be very dangerous, and he may even be killed. It is moderately difficult for the 13th prince to join, but the possibility of succeeding is not as good as that of his 2 elder brothers, and for a 10-year-old child, there is too much uncertainty. The players started a heated discussion. Shen Jian saw it. His expression was as usual. However, he glanced slightly at Wang Quan, the highest-ranking person in the audience, and it seemed that this somewhat slovenly middle-aged man had the idea of joining the eldest princess's lineup. Think of this. Shen Jian rubbed his chin. There was some interest in his eyes. Because he guessed that the other party wanted to join the eldest princess's lineup, not because of the foreboding or any important information, but simply because of him. Because he joined, the other party also wanted to join. This is interesting. Do you know his identity? Or do you want something from him? Thinking. Outside the death row, the footsteps of the jailer were approaching. Soon. 2 jailers have arrived in front of Shen Jian's cell. He said respectfully, Sir, you can go out now, His Highness is waiting for you. Shen Jian nodded. Went out. The eldest princess is quite fast. It has only been 3 days, and everything has been done. The efficiency cannot be said. Under the astonished gazes of all the players, Shen Jian untied the chains on his feet and walked out swaggeringly. Tianxi couldn't help but said, This Lord Jailer, I don't know he is. Hear sounds. The 2 jailers frowned. He was about to scold, but seeing that these people had communicated with Shen Jian before, and the relationship didn't look like strangers, after thinking about it, he calmed down his temper and said coldly, "Your Excellency has been released from death row." As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes widened. Damn it! So fast? It's only the third day after entering the 5-star dungeon, why was he released? Is the organization here so efficient? And doesn't it mean that if you want to be released from death row, you need to be cannon fodder and prove your worth? So what does this mean to him? Go through the back door? If you have anything to do with it, you are arrogant. Grass. For the first time in their lives, they felt like they were humming bastards with power. Lord Jailer, we still want to. Tianxi was about to say something, but was directly interrupted by the jailer, who said impatiently, "Why do you have so many questions on horseback? If you want to know, just ask your lord directly. Don't you, say, how dare we little people talk too much? Say it." The two jailers ignored the players and left in the same style. See this. Players have mixed feelings. They humbly called the jailer here sir, but unfortunately others ignored them and cursed them. However, the jailers here are extremely attentive to Shen Jian, and they also refer to each other as adults. It's okay if they don't compare, but when they compare, they all feel numb. Extremely psychologically unbalanced. I always felt that Shen Jian was not playing the same thriller game as them. While they were still overcoming the difficult environment, Shen Jian was already living a small life of eating 3 meals a day. While they were still racking their brains for survival, Shen Jian had been released and there was someone waiting outside. The more I think about it, they want to curse more and more. Is there a healing and enjoyable version of this thriller game? Naturally, I don't know what the player is thinking. At this time, Shen Jian has already walked out of death row. Facing the sun, he saw Princess Milan standing at the door, the golden halo shining down, making the elegantly dressed Princess Milan, who exuded a trace of majesty, appear even more unattainable. How about a hug to celebrate my release from prison? Shen Jian smiled. You are really unpredictable to me sometimes. Princess Milan gave Shen Jian an angry look and glanced behind her. The maids accompanying her all lowered their heads. Immediately, she walked forward and gave him a gentle hug. She naturally knew that Shen Jian was not really in prison, and it had nothing to do with being released from prison. But seeing the man in front of her making a request, something she could easily do, she didn't want to refuse. On the contrary, there is a different and wonderful feeling. Just like the first time this man took her on a boat to see the stars and kissed her gently under the moonlight, her mood now was the same as that time, her heartbeat was racing, and there was an indescribable feeling in her heart. Linger. According to you humans, you are called a dead scumbag. Comrade scumbag, you are welcome to be released from prison. The eldest princess's eyes changed. See this. Shen Jian gestured for a hug. From today on, I am your knight, your highness. Seeing that the atmosphere was right, Shen Jian opened his mouth and said whatever was exciting. Subsequently, in full view of everyone, he kissed the noble eldest princess on the lips. Then loosened it with just a touch of water. At this time, Princess Milan's face was a little blushing. Exquisite and moving. One can't help but want to take off her clothes and play with her noble and royal body. The arrival of the eldest princess of Daking. Current status, shy, happy, complicated. Favorability, 81, intimate. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 712. While being released from prison, a scarlet panel appeared in front of Shen Jian. Side mission, escape from death row, completed. Note, the current branch is the first phase of the mission. A modification of player information has been detected, and the second phase of the branch mission has been started. Activated. Second stage of side mission, join any prince lineup. It is detected that the player has selected a lineup. Current lineup, Princess Milan. Second stage of side mission, select lineup, completed. The third phase of the branch line is officially launched. The third stage of the side mission, achieve at least 50 points of goodwill with the prince of your lineup. Content, sufficient favorability is the basis of trust. Without trust, there will be no future as a secret guard. Ensuring at least 50 points of favorability is a guarantee that you will not be liquidated in the future. Task tip, talk less and do more, show loyalty. Note, hide your identity well, scare visitors from the world, and be disliked by the royal family. Shen Jian saw it. This side quest has almost caught up with the difficulty of the main side quest. Not to mention how an ordinary player can gain the trust of the prince. Just becoming a secret guard, performing tasks, and surviving is not an easy task. If we add some princes who don't take the lives of death row prisoners seriously, the situation will be even worse. Therefore, only then will the third phase of the side mission appear. With 50 points of favorability, it has reached the familiar stage. At this stage, the player and the target are already considered friends. Even if they are liquidated or sent out to perform tasks in the future, they will subconsciously consider the difficulty of the tasks, or simply put the players in a more comfortable environment. This is the key for players to participate in the battle for the heir. Without this premise, even if you come up with a plan, there is nothing you can do, let alone affect the outcome of the heir apparent. Only one is a death row secret guard with a low status and shady identity, and the other is a high-ranking prince. Their identities are not equal at all. Even if they want to please each other and increase their favor, they must have a chance. It still depends on the outstanding performance when performing tasks. In other words, the biggest danger for players in this dungeon undoubtedly lies in the process of performing various tasks. No one knows what outrageous tasks the prince they have chosen will send them to perform. If they were to assassinate a certain prince, even if they could succeed, they would probably be close to death. Think of this. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. Apparently, this time the dungeon is said to be 5-star difficulty, but in fact it may become 6-star at any time. Only none of this has anything to do with him. Shen Jian glanced at the blushing Princess Milan, who was very close at hand, and then looked at the 81-point favorable opinion. I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows. As if to say, is the delay so serious? Lao Tai, this server is not good. The next second, the scarlet font appears again. The target of the lineup selected by the player is detected, the eldest Princess Milan. The favorability reaches 81 points. The third phase of the side mission, completed. Note, the rewards have been incorporated into the settlement interface and can only be claimed after completing the game. Note, it has been detected that the target's favorability exceeds the standard, and the princess's hidden plot mission has been started. The mission has been activated. The hidden plot of the eldest princess, ascending the throne and proclaiming herself emperor. Content, I am the eldest daughter of the emperor, and the throne should be mine. Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Daking, has been smart since she was a child. She is familiar with the 4 books and 5 classics. She is proficient in the art of war, riding and shooting, and is the most terrifying among the royal family. However, because a woman cannot succeed to the throne, she has nowhere to display her talents. She secretly cultivates power and participates in government affairs. Stand out step by step, waiting for the opportunity. Task tip, building momentum is the best opportunity to get ahead. Note, the difficulty of this task far exceeds the player level. It is a long-term goal. Players can have the permission to enter this copy up to 10 times. Note, this task is the only hidden task. If the task fails, the player will die. Note, The time limit for this task is 5 years. Seeing the jumbled scarlet text, Shen Jian's eyes moved slightly. Princess Milan's hidden plot mission is to proclaim herself emperor. The goal is ambitious enough. This is 10 times, or even 100 times more difficult than seizing a direct descendant. Even if you have the authority to enter Qingguo 10 times, you may not be able to succeed within 5 years. And in the absence of Emperor Qing's clear abdication, there was only one way to ascend the throne and proclaim himself emperor within 5 years. Rebel. There is no other way. After all, Emperor Qing is a world-destroying ghost and god, and he can live as long as he wants. If he is not willing to abdicate, he may not be able to sit in that position for hundreds of years. Shen Jian was thoughtful. His eyes stayed on the building momentum in the task prompt. Building momentum means building up the reputation of the eldest princess. And Shen Jian saw 2 words, causing trouble. What are you thinking about? At this time, Princess Milan's voice brought Shen Jian's thoughts back to reality. He lowered his head slightly. Looking at the beautiful eldest princess in his arms, he couldn't help but have thoughts that all men would understand. I was wondering if I tasted the eldest princess's red lips, does that count as an offense to the royal family? Hear this. Princess Milan's pretty eyebrows gave Shen Jian a sideways glance. Do you only know now? There are many people here, let's talk about it when we get back. Said. She broke away from Shen Jian's arms. Shen Jian was left with a free and easy back view. Zhenhou Mansion. When Shen Jian came here, what he saw was a luxurious mansion. Princess Milan said, I live in the palace, it's inconvenient for you to follow me. This Zhenhou Mansion is a force that I secretly control, and it's all my people. You can live here with peace of mind. If you need anything, just tell the guards. Also, you will be my secret guard in name in the future. There is a set of secret guard clothes and a mask in your room. If you need to perform a task, you can wear the mask. It is a supernatural thing that can block perception. Shen Jian nodded. There is nothing dissatisfying about it. He basically didn't have to do anything, Her Royal Highness the Princess had already arranged everything. If she were a man, she would probably already be the undisputed crown prince and future heir apparent. I may continue to investigate this justice order in the future, so you must be mentally prepared. Shen Jian said. Whether it is to seize the throne or to rebel and proclaim emperor, you need to build momentum. And this member of the Order of Justice who suddenly appeared is very suitable to be his informant. I understand. Just do whatever you want. As long as you don't break the news, I will have a way to deal with the aftermath. But, if you don't go to the mansion now, why are you running out? Princess Milan nodded seriously, and then saw Shen Jian walking towards the door, feeling a little curious. Haha, I promised the queen to guide her son, so naturally I want to meet the 13th prince. Say it. Shen Jian turned around and disappeared. Looking at Shen Jian's back, Princess Milan was worried. The queen has lived in the palace for a long time and has not seen him very often. There should be no problem. The other side. Jin Palace. This is the residence given to the 13th prince in the imperial capital of Qing Kingdom. Although he is still young, he has already obtained his own title because he is the legitimate son of the current queen. The mansion is huge. It occupies an area larger than 2 football fields. It was twice as big as the Zhenhou mansion where he lived. As soon as you walk in, you can smell the fragrance of bamboo. Rows of bamboo trees stand on both sides of the mansion, swaying in the wind. Led by the guards, Shen Jian quickly arrived at a bamboo pavilion. Look away. The empress sat on the bamboo pavilion impressively, her back was graceful and concave and convex, and her beautiful eyes were looking gently at a little boy who was sparring outside the pavilion. Presumably he is the 13th prince, the king of Jin. The little boy didn't look that big, he was about the same size as the royal spy who claimed to be his slave 3 days ago. At such a young age, his terror level had already reached the level of an abyss-level ghost king. Although some of the evil ghosts he encountered also looked like very young children, whether they were ghost babies, ghost children, or ghost boys, they actually only looked like children or babies. In fact, they had probably existed for many years. More than dozens, even hundreds of years. And the one in front of me is truly an abyss-level person who is only 10 years old. Such a level of terror is undoubtedly unimaginable in the world of horror. Even the ghost and deity Queen of Evernight does not have such a level of terror at this age. It is the difference between the horror world and the deep ghost world. Especially since the 13th prince is the legitimate son of the queen and has unimaginable resources. Only at this age can he reach the level of the abyss-level ghost king. Be aware of arrivals. The queen stood up immediately. There is surprise in her beautiful eyes. Although Shen Jian had agreed to this matter long ago, things may change at any time before it actually comes. Mr. Shen, you are finally here. Zhan Tamingjing smiled sweetly. Zhi, come and meet your teacher. From today on, Mr. Shen will be responsible for your future guidance. You must treat him like your mother. Hear sounds. The young 13th prince looked at Shen Jian. Although he was only 10 years old, he was a prince after all, and a powerful heir to the throne who was titled King Jin. With a serious face, he also had a temperament that could not be ignored. Are you the teacher that Queen Mother sent for? Are you a ghost? I want to see. Queen Mother, why did you hit me? The 13th prince said sternly. He looks like a little adult. But the words are not yet finished. He was lightly slapped on the back of the head. When he turned around, he saw his mother glaring at him. Speak carefully, he is your teacher. Oh, what can you do, sir? The 13th prince felt aggrieved. But he still rolled his eyes and said fiercely. Shen Jian saw it? Think about it. Covered by a scarlet ghost realm, he stretched out his hand to grab it, and a lonely wild ghost appeared in his hand. Then, a sharp pinch. The lonely ghost died completely. The 13th prince was stunned. That's it? This wild ghost is only at the red level. He can also crush him to death easily. But what's the point? However, the next second, something happened that made his eyes widen. The apparently dead wild ghost miraculously came back to life. The crushed neck became intact, as if it had never been injured. This is not a simple cure. But the body function has returned to its previous state. Is this, the ghost realm restarting? The 13th prince was shocked. He had read about the Ghost Land reboot in a book. This is an extremely special technique for using the ghost realm. Not to mention the king of ghosts, not even ghosts and gods have such abilities. In the entire Qing kingdom, there are no more than one person with this kind of supernatural power. Having a ghost domain restart means being born invincible. He, the teacher, actually mastered such a supernatural power? For a while, the 13th prince was deeply moved. His eyes seemed to say, Coach, I want to learn this. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 713. Chapter 708. This, so sour. Looking at the 13th prince's eyes full of curiosity, Shen Jian touched his chin and his eyes moved slightly. Unexpectedly, even in an environment like Luofeng's 6 days, ghost realm restarts would be so scarce. It seems like this. The upper limit of ghost eye is far higher than he imagined. Just by reviving 7 ghost eyes, you have mastered the supernatural power of ghost realm restart. What if you unlock 8 eyes or even 9 eyes? He has not forgotten that when he got the ghost eyes in the ghost domain space of Blood Moon High School, the other party kept shouting. With all 9 eyes open, he would kill as ghosts and gods said, and even the living restricted area would be equal. Ghost eye. On the back of his hand, 7 scarlet eyes looked at Shenjian with tears in their eyes. Master, you finally remembered me. If I open all 9 eyes, I will really be useful. Don't think of me as a pendant. Shenjian glanced at it. No words were spoken. The greatest use of the ghost eye for him is to allow him to move across a large range of ghost realms without using the ability of the god of hell. As for the 10-second time reversal of the ghost realm restart, it is of little value. After all, he has a life and death problem. Let alone those who died within 10 seconds, if he wanted to, he could restore the vitality of those who died 10 days ago. For the king of hell, it is the simplest thing to return the sun and return to the soul. Therefore, after trying to restart the ghost realm of the 7-eyed ghost eye once, he lost interest in continuing to help ghost eye revive the 8th eye. But now, he was a little more interested. Thinking. Shenjian looked back at the 13th prince. How? The 13th prince's eyes were dazzled, and he didn't care about maintaining his princely temperament. Can I learn this? Then it depends on your sincerity. As a student, what should you call me? Shenjian, the old Shinto. The 13th prince is so embarrassed. He glanced at his mother and shouted respectfully, "Teacher, please teach me. I want to become stronger. I want to protect myself and my mother." Shenjian nodded slightly. There was a look of satisfaction on his face. Then he said, "Restarting the ghost realm is too difficult for you now. Let me first teach you a truly practical ghost realm technique that can help you protect yourself. Attack me, no matter what." Hear the words. The 13th prince did not hesitate too much. Supernatural fluctuations suddenly broke out. The shadows in the ground swam and turned into thorns to stab Shenjian. However, as the thrust approached, it magically disappeared. The 13th prince does not believe in evil. Attack again. But it still didn't work, as if there was an invisible ghost realm around Shenjian that resisted the supernatural effect of the attack. "Teacher, what's going on?" "This is what I'm teaching you. Use the ghost realm to exile yourself into a deeper ghost realm. As long as you are not in the same level of ghost realm, no matter what kind of supernatural attack it is, it will not be effective on you." Shenjian talked eloquently. He learned this move from the Blood Corpse Ghost God in the God Burial Valley. Before the Blood Corpse Ghosts fully recovered, they stuffed their damaged organs into the bodies of other ghosts and devoured other people's yin energy to nourish themselves. No matter how the parasitized ghosts searched, they could not find the source of the supernatural. This is exile from Ghostland. Exiling part of oneself into a deeper ghost realm, ghosts in the first-level ghost realm will naturally not be able to find supernatural attacks in the second-level ghost realm. Unless you have the power to break the ghost realm once and for all, it's useless for anyone to come. If the 13th prince of the abyss level could master this move, almost no one among the ghosts and gods could harm him. After listening, the 13th prince's eyes brightened even more. Exile from the ghost realm is another ghost realm skill that ordinary ghosts and gods cannot master. Where did the Queen Mother find this teacher? It's too awesome. He even felt that this teacher's level of terror was probably higher than that of the prince's brother's ghost master. If he could master these two supernatural powers, he wouldn't have to worry about becoming the first unlucky prince to lose his life in the battle for the air. Think of this. The respect in the 13th prince's eyes became even stronger. In his eyes, Shenjian's image also became taller. 2 hours later, the 13th prince sat on the grass and stuffed a rabbit into a piece of grass. "Mr. Shen, thank you for your hard work." On the bamboo pavilion. The Empress Jean Taming made a pot of tea for Shen Jian and handed it over gracefully. There was a deep sense of gratitude in his tone. The restart of the ghost realm and the exile from the ghost realm are supernatural powers that ordinary ghosts and gods do not have. Shen Jian taught such a difficult skill from the beginning, which also proved that Shen Jian was not perfunctory to her, but was giving serious guidance so that her son could have the ability to protect yourself. She had nothing to repay for this great gift. Mr. Shen, you are so sincere. As a queen, I cannot be stingy. Whatever you need, the Zantai family will do its best to help you get it. Hear the words. Shen Jian looked over. At this time, the Empress was extremely moving, her smiling face made the flowers outside the bamboo pavilion look down, and her seductive eyes were so captivating that it was hard to resist a certain impulse in her heart. Such a scene. It made Shen Jian's eyes look even more strange. Think about it. Shen Jian said, Empress, you also know that my current identity is very sensitive. Once discovered, I am afraid it will be difficult for me to leave the Qing kingdom. Can you help me cancel the wanted order? This. Zhan Tamingjing showed a trace of shame on his face. After hesitating for a while, he still shook his head and said, his idea is very firm. I alone have no way to convince him. And you may not know that since he ascended the throne, soon, I never went to the harem again, and for a lot of time, I couldn't even see him, let alone put forward my ideas. Shen Jian was startled. This him, of course, refers to Emperor Qing. But he didn't expect that Emperor Qing would not even go to the harem. Is this going to cultivate immortality? He didn't even have time to comfort these beauties. Think of this. In other words, the queen in front of her has not been nourished for a long time. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian was not surprised at all by the queen's powerlessness. After all, he proposed it just because he knew the queen couldn't do it. 4, is what follows. That's it, then there is nothing I want anymore, but it doesn't matter. Since I promised the queen, I will be responsible for educating the 13th prince well. There is no need for the queen to be burdened. I will do what I say. Shen Jian pretended to be generous. He looked like he didn't care about such a trivial matter. However, the more he behaved like this, the darker the look of shame on the queen's face. Mr. Shen, I am not a man who breaks his word. It's just that I really can't do this. You can come up with other conditions and I will never refuse. The queen stood up and leaned over half of the stone platform with a solemn expression. Then I need a way to advance to the world-destroying level of ghosts and gods. If it doesn't work, I have nothing to do recently. I am studying more efficient techniques to stimulate the human body and soothe the muscles and bones. If the queen doesn't mind, can you be my first experimental subject? Hear this. Zhan Taming's beautiful eyes lit up. Compared with the conditions of the first 2 hell levels, this condition does not seem to be difficult. Okay, I agree. Really? Of course, since I have promised, I will not break my promise, but what does this so-called technique of stimulating the human body and soothing the muscles and bones refer to? The queen asked curiously. As the mother of a country and the most noble woman in the entire Qing kingdom, she had never heard of this technology. Shen Jian stood up, his heart agitated, but he expressed no sadness or joy on the surface. Queen, this is what I learned from those humans. I heard that massage is called massage, which can effectively relieve stress. You know, because I being wanted was very stressful, so I thought of relaxing in this way. The words fell. Shen Jian has arrived behind the queen. He put his hand on the shoulder of the most distinguished woman in Qing dynasty. Mother, can you lie down on the stone platform? What? Zhan Tamingjing was startled when she heard Shen Jian's words that seemed to linger in her ears. Especially when Shen Jian approached her and put his hand on her shoulder, she felt even more flustered. But when she thought that she had rejected Shen Jian's 2 requests in a row, it would be too insincere to refuse again. Moreover, she saw that Shen Jian's eyes were not filled with any unreasonable thoughts, and her son was practicing not far away. After a war between heaven and man in her heart, she still obediently lay half of her body on the stone platform. Shen Jian glanced away. Because she is in a prone position, the Empress has a faint outline on her back, making her look full of voluptuousness. The balloon pressed against the stone platform, which was thrilling. The more I look, the more people can't extricate themselves. Queen, I'm starting. Shen Jian pressed his palms against this noble and beautiful woman, applying slight pressure to rub her skin through her clothes. Well, Mr. Shen, I'm so sour. The queen made a somewhat painful sound. My dear, you must have been sitting still, your muscles have become stiff. Shen Jian picked the position and pressed. From time to time, a little yin qi is added to disturb something. It's so sore. Be gentle. It hurts a little when you press it on that position. The queen suppressed her voice. But this sore experience was undoubtedly a novel experience for her. She could only be forced to feel the hands of other men besides her husband moving around on her clothes. Less than 10 minutes. Shen Jian has stopped moving. Did not continue. Finished. Yes, according to humans, this needs to be done slowly, otherwise it will be counterproductive. Please give it a try, Queen. Is it much easier? Huh? It seems a lot more relaxing. Zhan Taimingjing stretched out his two slender white arms, a little surprised. Of course, Queen, the key to this kind of thing is persistence. It's best to press it every few days. Shen Jian smiled. There is no distraction in the eyes. On the other hand, when the queen met Shen Jian's eyes and thought of what had just happened, a hint of dodge and blush flashed across her bright face. For a while, the atmosphere seemed charming. At this time, the 13th prince ran over. Panting, teacher, this is so difficult, huh? Mother, your face seems a little red. No, it's okay, the queen just felt a little warm. The queen explained in a panic. So, the 13th prince was not suspicious, nor would he have thought that his mother had just let a man touch her back, even though it was through clothes. Soon, Shen Jian left Jin Prince's mansion. A smile appeared on his face. Haste makes waste. The first contact, no disgust or objection, is the greatest success. Next, just follow the steps and slowly break down the queen's bottom line. Just thinking about it? Shen Jian's expression changed. Stopped while passing an alley. Come out. The words fell. A few seconds later, several figures came out of the darkness. Are you, the governor of the town, Lord Shen? Hear sounds. Shen Jian distinguished the characteristics of these people. Justice and order. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 714. Looking at several figures coming out of the darkness, Shen Jian's eyes moved slightly. According to the information obtained by Her Royal Highness the Princess, the most striking feature of this mysterious Team Justice Order that appeared in the imperial capital of Qing not long ago is that they wear clothing that symbolizes justice and fairness. On the clothing, a sun rises. Located at the heart of the dark robe. This is the unifying sign of a just order. Wearing it will make you a member of the righteous order in the eyes of the public. Therefore, only then would he be impersonated at will by the royal spy. And the people calling him out now seem to be the private organizations found in the prophetic text on the parchment. Think about it? Shen Jian nodded. Complied. See this. More members emerged from the darkness. There seemed to be excitement on his face. I knew it must be Master Shen that I saw at the Ghost Theater. Master Shen is not dead, he is still alive. Master Shen, please give us justice. A one-armed ghost with half of the wall missing fell to his knees with a plop, a line of blood and tears seeping from the ghost's eyes. Thump, thump, thump. All the members knelt down, their voices hoarse and resentful. Shen Jian was thoughtful. He discovered something strange. The members of this group of justice order are all missing arms and legs, and none of them is a ghost with a complete body. Even if the limbs are intact, there are always one or two organs missing. The Justice Order is a non-governmental organization that upholds justice, not a disabled ghost organization. In other words, these people are most likely from the same place. It was as if he had gone through unimaginable dangers before finally arriving here. The so-called civil organizations are obviously not established spontaneously, but with a purpose. With this thought, Shen Jian looked normal and said, "You are just going to talk to me here." Hear the words. The leading one-armed ghost just woke up from a dream. He quickly invited Shen Jian to a secret stronghold. As soon as I sat down, Shen Jian said with great interest, "Aren't you afraid that I am fake?" The one-armed ghost shook his head and said, "We were worried because a month ago, there were rumors that you had been caught and put on death row to be executed at a later date. Do you believe it?" "No, because your wanted order has not been withdrawn. We guessed that it was a trap targeting our just order." "Then why did you believe it this time?" "Because some of us saw you causing a commotion at the Ghost Theater. That place is where we suspect there is an imposter, and there is also a big fish, who is suspected to be the leader of the royal spy. Combined with the ghost aura that broke out at the scene, we guessed that Shen, my lord, you are dealing with the spy commander." The one-armed ghost was very excited. Dancing. It was like I had found some kind of savior. "So, why are you using my name to go against the Qing Kingdom royal family? Since you know the danger, you can't help but know it. Sooner or later, you will overturn." Shen Jian tapped on the table, and his voice rose in everyone's hearts. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly fell silent for a few moments. Until a moment. As the leader, the one-armed ghost said in a calm tone, "Because we have no other way but to use this method to find you, Master Shen." "Find me?" "Yes, Lord Shen, the 230,000 people of Xuanjiao City cannot die in vain. We ask Lord Shen to provide us with one last justice," said. The dozen or so ghosts in the room knelt down again. His head banged on the floor. Clicking sound. "Shen Jian?" He looked slightly startled. "Frost Moon City?" He has heard of this name. When the evidence of Prince Li's crime was first collected, the other party said personally that it was he who leaked the military deployment information of Xuanjiao City, which led to the death of hundreds of thousands of people in a city. And this city is Xuanjiao City. Are you survivors of Frost Moon City? Shen Jian's eyes were slightly surprised. But when I think about it carefully, I think it is very reasonable. Even he can't guarantee that he can kill 200,000 people accurately. It's normal for survivors to escape. Moreover, if there were no survivors, how could the destruction of Xuanjiao City be implicated in Prince Li? That's right. The one-armed ghost was kneeling on the ground. In addition to blood and tears, there was also bitter hatred and resentment in his red ghost eyes. He had almost reached the critical point of being an evil ghost. If he stepped over it, he would completely lose his mind. Here are all the survivors of Frost Moon City. He pointed at the dozens of people with mutilated bodies, and his voice became colder and colder. "Master Shen, I forgot to introduce myself. I am the writing officer of the Lord of Xuanjiao City, responsible for recording the city's development plan. And those behind me, some are people from the city government, some are ordinary people who survived by chance, and some are supernatural masters of small places. Hear this." Shen Jian did not respond, but asked, "Prince Li is dead, is there something else that happened?" Prince Li was definitely not wronged, Shen Jian was sure of this. If this is the case, then there is only one possibility left. In addition to Prince Li, there were other people involved in this matter. As expected. Shen Jian just finished speaking. The one-armed ghost explained in a sad and angry tone, Prince Li is the mastermind. There is no doubt about it, because we are the ones who spread this news. At the beginning, we were lucky enough to escape and came to the imperial capital to report, but we did not expect that the emperor's attitude was to protect us with death. We were disheartened and knew that revenge was hopeless, so we did not continue to spread the news until Mr. Shen Yu beheaded Prince Li in public, so we regained hope and wanted to bring all the murderers to justice. Who else? Shen Jian spoke briefly. An imperceptible smile flashed across his face. Anyone else guilty? It was really wonderful that Bulbasaur went into Mickey's wonderful house while eating the marvelous crisps corner. Just when I was thinking about how to build momentum, something unexpected happened to me. There are two important people. One is Prince Li, who is responsible for delivering information, and the other is King Pingnan, who guards the southern border. The massacre in Xuanjiao City was caused by King Pingnan's army. Speaking of which, the one-armed grimace is even more distorted. They didn't know what method they used to tamper with the ghost land of Xuanjiao City and turned it into a cage to restrain us. And King Pingnan's army didn't know when they had already arrived at the city. Just like that, a massacre began. The city is full of corpses. We managed to escape with our lives, but at this moment, something strange happened. When we returned to Xuanjiao City a few days later, all the corpses in the city were gone, and it turned into an empty city. Hear this. An idea immediately popped into Shen Jian's mind, the method of blood sacrificial soul pill. He has even witnessed similar massacres. Back when he was in the Eternal Night Kingdom dungeon, a prince with a different surname also adopted the same method and sacrificed a blood sacrifice to a small border town in an attempt to use soul pills to advance to the level of ghost and god. The method adopted is the blood sacrifice soul pill method. King Pingnan massacred the city, probably also for the soul pill. Even, seek greater things. Because the Qing kingdom is larger and has a higher level than the Yanjai kingdom, if you want to be a Zhenbian prince, you have to be a ghost or a god. If a ghost and god want to be promoted again, blood sacrifice to a city with a population of 200,000 is simply not enough. Shen Jian estimates that at least 5 cities of the same size must be sacrificed to have the possibility of advancing to the world-destroying level ghost and god. That's 1 million people. Think of this. The surprise in Shen Jian's eyes deepened. Combined with Emperor Qing's favoritism, he had reason to suspect that Emperor Qing knew about the massacre. Knowing but choosing to cover up. Apparently, this horse-riding team is a group. The more I think about it, Shen Jianyu was speechless. As the emperor of the Qing kingdom, did he take the lead in destroying his own country? What's the meaning? He pondered for a moment. Shen Jian's eyes fell on the one-armed ghost and the others again. You, come with me, I will take you to find someone. Zhenhou Mansion. Princess Milan arrived in a hurry. Listening to the one-armed ghost's dictation again, her breathing quickened, her chest heaved, and she felt a sense of suffocation coming over her. Even the 13th prince believed that the most intelligent person in the Qing kingdom was the emperor's eldest daughter. How could she not have thought of the many shocking secrets behind this? Father wants to destroy the Qing kingdom. Is he crazy? A long time. What does he want to do? Use this supernatural method to greatly cultivate ghosts and gods? Or does he want to cultivate a second world-destroying ghost and god? Princess Milan murmured to herself. Perhaps he wants to go one step further and advance to the world-destroying level of ghosts and gods, Shen Jian added. Hear this. The eldest princess became increasingly unable to calm down. World-destroying level ghosts and gods, above. What is that? There is no record in the royal books. To this, Shen Jian could only shake his head. Because in the horror level classification of the horror world, world-destroying ghosts and gods are indeed the most terrifying existences. It claims to be able to destroy any of the 12 game areas in the horror world with the power of a ghost. According to Shen Jian's estimation, the world-destroying ghosts and gods have gone one step further and may have reached the level of the city god. As for whether they can approach the level of the king of hell, he doesn't know. He hasn't compared it, and he doesn't have specific data. Not to mention, he is now the avatar of 10 kings of hell, and the intensity of blessings brought by him is not a single superposition. Your Highness, what do you think we should do? Shen Jian retracted his thoughts and asked patiently. Princess Milan was in a state of confusion, but she still said calmly, first of all, you can't go straight to the palace like you did last time. Even if you want to convict King Pingnan, there must be irrefutable evidence of the crime, and it must be serious enough to make all the court guilty. People are on our side. For example, the scene at the scene and so on, but this is impossible. King Pingnan will definitely not leave such obvious flaws. Scene? Does it refer to the scene of King Pingnan's massacre? At this time, the one-armed ghost said coldly. You have, Shen Jian was startled. I don't have it, but Chuanjiao City does. If you are not a local, you may not know that Chuanjiao City is most famous for the 5 great immortals. These 5 great immortals are usually in the state of stone statues, but as long as someone puts up the sacrifice, and follow the correct method, you can call out the 5 great immortals by shouting, and the 5 great immortals must have seen these things. Shen Jian turned to look at the eldest princess. The eldest princess also noticed Shen Jian's eyes. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded. See this. Shen Jian hugged the one-armed ghost and walked out the door. Master Shen, what are you doing? Don't you want me to uphold justice? Let's go collect evidence.